Up until this point, we have not heard about many teams that are likely to blow their team up or even enter a minor rebuild this offseason. I mean, apart from the Phoenix Suns, which I think we all know about, likely to trade Kevin Durant. I mean, if they can trade Bradley Beal, and probably other veterans in their team, but other than them, haven't had an official confirmation from pretty much any other team. I mean, maybe a team like Milwaukee, maybe a team like Boston might even trade one or two guys, but definitely not blow their entire team up. But now there might be another team entering that mix, which happens to be the Miami Heat. Now they might not completely blow their team up, probably won't trade both Bam Adebayo and or Tyler Herro, maybe one of them, but according to their very own team president, Pat Riley, they likely will be trading a few pieces, with him saying that they quote-unquote likely will not be running it back. And here's what he had to say about it.
We probably won't run it back, but it doesn't mean that, players aren't just going to show up. I mean, you have to make deals. You have to look at the board. You got to try to do something that's going to benefit with your team and your two key guys, if they're your key guys, and I think they are.
Now I think we all know about how stubborn Pat Riley can be, refusing to make a big dramatic trade that actually would make the big difference to their team that they really desperately need at this point. But if even he's coming out and saying that they're not going to run it back, then I think we can believe him to some extent. Now again, will that mean they'll trade Bam Adebayo? Will they trade Tyler Herro? Probably not, maybe, but I wouldn't really rely on that. Though I definitely would think about them potentially trading guys like Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, Kyle Anderson, and pretty much any other veteran on their team, and again maybe one of Bam Adebayo or Tyler Herro for the right price. So with that in mind here, we'll talk about what a trade with them might look like, and what the Lakers' best trade targets on the Miami Heat would be, in my opinion at least. But before we get too far into it, I would greatly appreciate it if you took a brief moment to drop a like, hit that subscribe button if you have not already, and turn on notifications so you never miss out when I upload a video. But now getting back to our topic, and starting at the very top of the Miami Heat, that would be Bam Adebayo. Whether you're talking about talent, production, contract, he's definitely at the top of their list and definitely at the top of other teams' list when it comes to making a trade with them. But would it actually be a possibility? Well, it definitely would be a great outcome for their team. Obviously, they need a center, and Bam Adebayo can fill that role. Now, he does like to play a little bit power forward, kind of a resemblance of Anthony Davis, and does like to be a full-time center if he doesn't have to be, but he's definitely shown the ability to play that role. Being a perennial All-NBA defender, being a 5-time All-Defensive Team guy, a great rim protector, one of, if not the most switchable big men in the entire NBA, and that's definitely some heavy praise for him. Not only can do that, but then has become a very good offensive player too, even a little bit of a three-point shooter this past season, knocking down 35.7% of his three-point shots, while taking about 3 of them per game. Pretty impressive, and not to mention at a 42% clip on corner three-point shots, averaging 18 points per game to go with it, nearly 10 rebounds per game, over 1 steal per game, and shooting 48.5% from the field. So definitely get a little bit of everything with Bam Adebayo. He can help your offense, definitely stabilize and man your entire defense, which the Lakers could definitely use more of, and then on top of all that, is still only 27 years old. So yeah, definitely talking about a pretty rare talent here, and that means it would take a lot to get him. And well, for the Lakers to even have a chance of making that trade and getting Bam Adebayo, they definitely would have to include Austin Reeves, which they might not be hesitant against if it would be for a guy like Bam Adebayo. And well, here's what a trade would probably look like, having to include Austin Reeves, then both Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber to make the money work here, finally for their 2031 first-round draft pick, then probably a first-round draft pick swap or 2 to go with it, and that's probably what it would take here to even make the Miami Heat think about it and potentially make this kind of trade with them. Again, definitely don't find it very likely, but I would be willing to make this kind of trade and willing to think about it. It would take a lot for me to trade Austin Reeves. I know some of the fan base and a growing part of it is not very happy with him. Everyone kind of turned against him after his underwhelming playoff performance and not liking the future fit of him and Luka Doncic together. But at the end of the day here, you don't trade a guy like Austin Reeves for nothing. Don't want to simply get rid of him and trade him away for a trade that would not be worth it. But this one actually would be, in my opinion. Don't want to trade the entire house for Bam Adebayo, but would be willing to give up a whole lot for him. However, like I said, I don't find it very likely. If they would trade either one of Bam Adebayo or Tyler Herro, my guess is that they would be much more willing to trade Tyler Herro. But I'm not really interested in that. When it comes to the Lakers and what they need, they don't need another Tyler Herro, which is kind of like already having Austin Reeves. Not a one-for-one comparison, but they both do a lot of similar things on the court. Both good shot creators, both guys that can average about 20 to 25 points per game as a number 1 or number 2 option, but not guys that can really lead your team or probably be a very reliable number 2 option. So I'd be staying away from Tyler Herro, not even going to make a hypothetical trade for him, as I don't think he's what they need. After him though, maybe a veteran like Andrew Wiggins, and that might actually not be a terrible option for them. After all, they do need more defense and more versatile defense, and that's something that Andrew Wiggins has proven to be capable of. I mean, back during the 2021-22 NBA season with Golden State, was the best wing defender for a team that eventually won an NBA championship, and he probably should have made an all-defensive team that year in my opinion too. But dating back to that season, and actually dating back to 2020, has been a great defender and a great 3-point shooter to go with it, shooting 38.1% from beyond the arc on roughly 5.5 attempts per game. Very impressive, and probably more than what a guy like Rui Hachimura gives to them. Maybe not quite the same 3-point shooting efficiency, but a higher 3-point shooting volume, better defense, much more switchable defense, and arguably a better fit than Rui Hachimura. So they might think about making that upgrade, or maybe think about trading Hachimura for Andrew Wiggins. That would be one option here. Could trade Rui Hachimura with either one of Maxi Kleber or Gabe Vincent to make a trade work, then include a future first-round draft pick swap or something along the lines of that, or then maybe go the route of not trading Rui Hachimura, instead trading a combination of Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, and then Dalton Connect instead, with a future first-round draft pick or multiple future first-round draft pick swaps, and potentially make that kind of trade instead. Now, I'm not sure I'd be willing to give up that much for Andrew Wiggins, but it's really hard to deny that he would not be a great fit for their team. I mean, he pretty much checks every box they need, is a pretty good to great 3-point shooter, is both a great catch and shoot guy and a good corner 3-point shooter, is a good defender and potentially even a number 1 kind of defensive option, can be on the court with pretty much any other combination of players, and then can defend and play anywhere from shooting guard all the way down to power forward. So in regard to versatility and 3-and-D needs that their team needs, it would be hard to deny that Andrew Wiggins not be a great fit. I mean, I don't love the idea of paying him $28.2 million this year, or about $30 million next season, but I guess it could be worse, and you really can't argue with that fit. So for the right price, I might think about making that trade. After Wiggins or Tyler Herro or Bam Adebayo though, what else would the Miami Heat have to offer? And well, looking down the line here, probably not very much, or not much that they would actually be willing to give up. For a guy like Terry Rozier, for example, definitely not thinking about a trade for him, making roughly $27 million next year, albeit on an expiring contract, and simply not giving that kind of production, averaging only about 12 points per game last season on some pretty poor shooting efficiency, not to mention being a declining defender, and then kind of being caught in the midst of a potential gambling controversy, allegations being thrown his way, and that's not a good look for him, so definitely not thinking about a trade for Terry Rozier. Or then for a guy like Duncan Robinson, might be interested if he made less money and was not 31, but unfortunately that's not the case here. Making roughly $20 million next season, about to be 32 years old, and probably not quite worth that price or what it would take to get him through a trade, so I'm really not too interested in a trade for Duncan Robinson, even though I do like him. After those two though, another veteran they have to offer would be Kyle Anderson, and I might potentially be somewhat interested in him, maybe more as a throw-in player rather than a direct trade target, but he actually would be a pretty decent fit for their team in my opinion, especially on defense. With the preference and switching defense that they do like to employ on the court, that's something that Kyle Anderson definitely can help your team with. I mean, he was a top 15 finisher in defensive box plus minus rating last season, having a plus 2.2 rating, and on his career has a plus 2.5 rating, pretty much can defend anywhere from point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, even some centers on the court, so definitely a very versatile defender, a very committed defender, seemingly a great teammate, and multiple guys have said that, and then simply a good veteran option to have off your bench or in a pinch in your starting lineup. I would be open to trading for Kyle Anderson, albeit not as a direct trade target. After him though, maybe a guy like Haywood Highsmith, not sure they'd want to trade him as he does happen to be only 28 and did give some good production for his contract last season, shooting about 38% from 3, being a good defender for their team and filling multiple defensive roles for their team, guarding anywhere from shooting guard, small forward, all the way up to power forward, is a very committed defender as well, seemingly a great and even developing further 3-and-D option, so I kind of doubt they would trade him or really want to trade him, but if you can include him with a guy like Bam Adebayo if you have enough salary for it, or for maybe again like Andrew Wiggins, then I definitely would be interested in Haywood Highsmith. After that though, not much left here. Probably don't want to trade Nikola Jovic, only 21 and does seem to be a part of their future. Or then for Khalil Ware, I want the Lakers to draft him, but at this point, probably not going to be able to get him through a trade. And then for guys like Kevin Love, seemingly a veteran option at this point that's more of a veteran leader rather than an actual contributor on the court. I mean, LeBron would like to have him for a veteran leader, they're best friends and go all the way back to their time in Cleveland, but I'm not directly targeting him through a trade. Then finally for guys like Jaime Jaquez, Pelle Larsson, or Kashad Johnson, all of which are young players to their team and probably not too much in the trade block, so not going to discuss them in any great detail. Overall here though, definitely would be interested in a trade with the Miami Heat if they're willing to negotiate fairly and maybe offer guys like Bam Adebayo. That would obviously be the dream target, very unlikely in my opinion, but would be a great fit for their team. Or then for a guy like Andrew Wiggins, that would be more likely and probably the best, most realistic option in my opinion, if they would give him up for the right price. And then maybe for guys like Kyle Anderson and or Haywood Highsmith. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How would you feel about a potential trade with the Miami Heat? Who are your favorite trade targets on their team and what would you give up for them? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.